Happy Friday. This is William Pelarenos with Life Experiences. I'm glad you're joining us. We are live transmitting from lovely downtown Elgin here at our 1410 studio, WRMN. I am here with a guest today, and I'm glad he took some time off to join us because if you've been listening to me, I was talking about I had term life insurance. I bought it some 20 years ago for $400,000 insurance policy. I was paying $800 a year for. Now it's expired. My insurance agent calls me up. Do I want to renew it? I said, sure. He wants $10,000, or rather the company wants $10,000 for the same policy I was paying for $800 for 20 years. Why? Because when you get older, you pay more, my friends. So to clear this confusion between different types of policies, I brought a great guy over to the show, and his name is Corey Meyer, and he sells life insurance. Welcome to the show, Corey.
Thank you very much for having me, Bill. And again, I'm sorry to hear about your troubles with your policy.
No, but that's why I reached out to you. I happened to run into you at a veterans meeting, and I'm glad you go to those. And these different types of policies, people don't understand that. There's, from what I understand, there's term, whole, and universal life. Am I correct?
You're correct.
And what's the difference between, now I had a term policy. Let people know what that is.
Well, a term policy is basically exactly what it says. It's good for a death benefit that's confined to a certain number of years for whatever you purchase it. If you buy it for 20 years, at the end of the 20 years, if you don't die, that policy expires and you don't get any cash value out of it. So it's good for the life of the term. Yours was either a 20 or a 30-year term, and I know it's coming up on termination now, and you're going to need some more coverage.
Yes, that's why I reached out to you when I met at the veterans meeting, and thank you. Now, the term, I could have taken 30. Who would have thought, that time would fly so fast like this? 2 decades have just gone by, man. I can't believe it.
But it's true. I talked to so many people that at the time they bought it, and obviously when you're younger, you're healthier, and insurance is based on your health and your age, so it's less expensive. I talked to so many people in your situations who only took a 20-year out instead of a 30, and they're facing, having to get a new policy at an advanced age.
Yeah, that's what I got to do with. Okay, now the other policies, a whole life. What's the difference or advantage to that?
Well, the whole life is a policy that has a cash value, and it accumulates over time. And depending on the company, the death benefit can actually increase. And the benefit of a whole life policy is that part of the policy, there's 2 parts of the policy. One is used to purchase the life insurance every year, but the other part is an account kept in cash, and it usually invests in very conservative types of investments, and it grows every year. And depending on the investment, depending on the company, it can accumulate a significant cash value. Now you say, Corey, what's the benefit of that? The benefit of that is that at some point you can use some of the cash in the policy to pay the premium, or you can take a loan from the policy that is obviously at a certain interest rate that's very favorable, but also if you don't pay back the loan you take from your policy, well, you still have the policy because you're making the monthly payments. The death benefit is the only thing that's decreased. So there's a lot more to a whole life policy, and obviously the cash value is a very attractive feature of it.
That's interesting. It's almost like a twofold segment there on that, the cash value and the life insurance policy itself.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's interesting. But a whole life may be a little more expensive than a term life, correct?
Correct. That's why I urge everyone that when your children are born, you can buy them whole life policies, and they're very, very inexpensive. And so the younger you start with the whole life, the better.
Yes. Does whole life have a limit on like 10 years or 20 years?
No,
a time limit?
No, it doesn't. But the nice thing about Country Financial, they offer 7, 10, or 20-year payments. So you can pay that policy off very quickly, as opposed to other whole life policies where you have to pay your whole life on it.
Okay. And that's one of the companies that you sell life insurance for is Country Financial, correct?
Correct.
And the other one is American Amicable Life, correct?
Correct, among others.
Yes. Oh, so you're a broker. You actually deal with several companies, right?
Correct.
Correct. So you're an independent broker and just don't promote one company. You try to find different policies to fit your clients, correct?
Correct. And based on my experience, I feel like I'm the best person to see because I made my living suing insurance companies, so I know exactly what people need in their particular situation in life.
Yes. Let's go. Let's backtrack a little bit for our listening audience that don't know Corey Meyer here. F. Scott Fitzgerald, the author of The Great Gatsby, is famous for saying there's no second acts in life. But for a lot of people like myself, there is. Corey was a personal injury attorney for 33 years, correct?
Correct.
So he retired from the legal system and decided to go into the insurance business, and now it's an insurance broker. So he's got experience with people's personal injuries and sometimes death cases. So he can figure out what policy might be best for their client, correct?
You're right on point, Bill, as usual.
Yes. We'll talk about some of your personal injury accidents that you handled for clients on the second half. Universal Life, explain that one to me.
Okay, so that's basically a hybrid policy that's been around a long time, but recently the insurance companies have added a new wrinkle to it. So a lot of them are selling what's called indexed universal life, which is kind of similar to the whole life I described earlier, and no one wants to hear about insurance too much because it's not a very exciting subject. But it's similar to whole life because obviously there's two parts of the policy that you pay your premium for. The first part goes toward the purchase of insurance every year to make sure the death benefit is covered. But then there's a cash part, which is invested. Now, typical universal life used to invest in T-bills or bank stock and not pay very much interest. But now this index universal life is where the insurance company invests the cash portion in a Fortune 500 company, Standard & Poor's 500 company. And what's really nice about the policy, and I've been getting a lot of calls from clients lately thanking me for letting them invest in this because there's a floor on it, okay? So you can't lose money. The floor is 0, but there's a max on your cash value. You can't make more than 8%. So if the market's at 20%, you're only getting 8%. But if the market's like it's been the last month or so, your floor is 0, you're not losing money. And again, the nice part about this as well is that this is the only place where you can invest money and actually make profits on that tax-free because you can put as much money as you want in this policy every month. And then when you get a significant amount investing at 8%, you can take it out as a loan. So there's no tax on that loan. So it's a good vehicle for making money. And also you keep the death benefit. And again, if you don't pay the loan back, it strictly just comes off the top as long as you keep making your premium payments. So it's a nice little vehicle.
Well, okay, hang on with that thought for a second, Corey. We actually have some callers on the line. Let's go to the first caller.
Yes, is that me? I'm calling because many years ago, first of all, I should tell you I'm 93 now. Many years ago, I entered bought a life insurance policy from Northwestern Mutual. And the policy was that you made payments for so many years, and each year what it cost you for the year was less because they made money on what the portion of it that was invested. So eventually I got to the point where I no longer had to make payments. And in addition to that made the death benefit go up because I elected to buy additional insurance with the money I was earning from its investment. So as I look at it today, I can't even remember what the original policy was for, probably around $30,000. I see that the death benefit is $96,774, and the cash surrender value, if I wanted to say, hey, I'll just take the money now, is $88,782. One of the best investments I ever made, my friend.
Is that universal?
No, that would probably be a whole life policy.
Oh, that's a whole life, my
Yes.
friend?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, okay. That's what we were just talking about.
That's a tremendous investment. How can you go wrong?
Yeah, that was very smart on your part, but a lot of people don't see it that way because it may cost a little bit more than term, but if you can afford it, put the money away for it, maybe stay away from a pizza a week, it's a great investment. You did a great job.
All right. I encourage people when they buy life insurance that a lot of people, all that they're worrying about is one of two things: either paying to get themselves buried, or to take care of their family after they're gone. But I guess they don't realize that they can actually work for them to increase the value. It becomes an investment as well.
You're absolutely right. I'm glad you mentioned that. We do this for our families because once we're gone, but we want to leave something behind for our families. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
Yeah, you did a good job, my friend.
Have a great day.
You too. Thank you for calling in.
Thank you very much.
When we talk about these life insurance, it's collected when we pass on. So really, it's based on our death. But one of my insurance agents was trying to sell me a policy. It was a small amount for my, if I pass away, covers my funeral expenses. I think it's called the final expense insurance policy. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And it's much smaller policy. I think there's a ceiling on it, like 40 or 50,000, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So basically what this does is cover your funeral expenses, the casket the guy buy you, the expenses for the wake, the burials, and so on. Am I right?
That's exactly it.
Yeah, but is that policy because it's a lot less? Is it cheaper than a whole life or term life?
Well, that's a very good question, Bill, because a lot of our listeners probably are bombarded with these commercials they see all day, no medical questions, very little in the way of a premium. But there are actually, like insurance, there's several types, but there's three main types of the final expense insurance, which I do sell a lot to veterans because a lot of them are looking to supplement the coverage they already have. And the three different types involve, number one, let's say, Bill, you get a policy from me today, and God forbid you pass away tomorrow. That there are policies out there, final expense policies, that will pay on that policy. But most of the ones you see on TV have what's called a graded benefit or a waiting period. So some of them, especially the ones that don't ask for any health questions, may have a waiting period of 1 or 2 years. But the most frequent, the most common one is that you buy a policy, let's say for $50,000, you die during year one, and you only get 25% of the death benefit. So you'd only get $12,500. Die during year two, you get 50% of the death benefit. Die during year three, you get 75%, and it's not fully payable till you survive 4 years after buying that policy. So you've got to be very, very careful when you reach out to try to get this final expense insurance.
And is there a time limit on those things? Is it like a 5-year policy?
No, those would be good for the rest of your life. So it's a whole life policy, which is good, but you have to keep paying on it. If you don't make the premium payments every month, and you don't have enough cash value to pay those premiums in the policy itself, that policy will terminate.
Oh, I understand. But a lot of insurance agents always promote that, and on a lesser scale, they say $15,000 basically covers your death expenses, and that's true because it's not, the caskets alone run $3,000 to $4,000, but if I was going to buy one of those, I would try to take the maximum of $50,000 because there's other expenses, people coming into town, people staying. Some relatives can't afford. I remember when my mother-in-law passed away, her son had to pay for some other relatives to fly in. So there's always, you're bombarded with expenses if you're left covering the funeral.
Yeah, you're 100% right. Today the average funeral cost is between $8,500 and $12,000. You got people coming in town. you got to throw a little luncheon afterwards. It's a very, very expensive thing now, and many people are not covered for that.
Yes, I don't want to bum people out talking about death and destruction. Let's get to the next phone call.
Hi, welcome to the show.
Hi, Corey and Bill.
Yes.
Yeah, I was wondering, how about those people who have the living death, who have to go to a nursing home? You recommend getting nursing home insurance? Because that happened to my mother. She spent 11 years in a nursing home. She had every insurance under the sun, okay, you name it, but she never had nursing home insurance. And can you go over that a little, please? Thank you.
Well, it's funny because Bill and I were just talking about this before we went on air, but, it's a very, 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 very important field. I think you can't go around, during the day and not talk to someone who's had a very bad experience taking care of one of their relatives who didn't have insurance that was confined to a nursing home. So there is long-term care insurance, which is available. Now, it's something that many, many insurance companies lost money on over the years and stopped offering it. So there's not as many companies that offer it today, but it is available. I do sell it. And what it will do is if you cannot, if the insured cannot perform activities of daily living, 2 out of 6 of them, and require confinement, it will cover them up to whatever the monthly benefit you purchase for them. Now, typical month in a nursing home now is about $12,000. So
Per month.
per month.
Per month.
So it would be, and usually, you can buy the coverage anywhere from 5 to 7 years, depending on how much you'd like to spend on the premiums. And that way you can have peace of mind and you can have all that expense covered. Otherwise, if you don't have any coverage, sure, there's Medicaid, Medicare, but Medicare doesn't cover you for very long. And Medicaid, if you have any assets at all, if you don't get rid of those assets, then they're not going to give you the Medicaid coverage. So it's a very, very...
That means you can lose your house, right?
Correct.
I'm glad you brought this up because I have a friend whose wife's father, his father-in-law, was in a nursing home because he has Parkinson's disease and he needs to be taken care of. I mean, seriously taken care of. He needs the help showering. He needs help going to the bathroom. He's put in a diaper all day long. He's in serious physical condition because of his Parkinson's. And he was in the nursing home, but they ran out of money. And his insurance, he didn't have this type of policy. So they had to bring him back home. People have to go over there, get him dressed, put the diaper on, change the diaper, put him in the shower. There's people every day that have to go over. The relatives, the sons and daughters are stuck doing this because he didn't have the policy for the nursing home. And this happens to a lot of people, man. It's nothing new,
I just talked to a client this week whose aunt did have the good fortune of having a nursing home policy, but the term of that policy ran out, and now she's going to have to use all her Social Security income just to pay for her home health aide that comes to the house and stays at the house on a regular basis. So there's a lot of things that you should plan for, and a good financial plan should incorporate long-term care insurance.
Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm listening. Yeah, very important. You guys are doing great.
Yeah.
I think when you think of we're talking about insurances, you die, you leave money, you're buried, next day, go on with your life. But the living hell of a nursing home, you see, I think my own experience is that we're living longer, most of us, our liver, heart. But however, a friend of mine, she's 74, I'll say, okay? She can't walk anymore. She's going to have the same problem in June, okay? The insurance, Medicare only covers, 80 or 90 days? Is that correct?
Yeah, 90 days.
90 days, and then guess what? You're on your own, pal, okay? And then you better figure out because I think that's the big problem we have, is that people are under assumptions that everything's going to be covered. And then you want to talk about a little more about that, Corey?
Well, just as you said, excuse me, but yeah, I mean, if you don't have long-term care insurance, most of the expenses involved with being hospitalized in a nursing home are not going to be covered. and then you're out. You have to pay with your own money, or else, maybe get into a state-run facility if you don't have any assets. But the optimum situation is that you do have coverage, and you can let your loved one enjoy, or at least enjoy to the best they can, their last years on this planet.
A lot of people, and not elderly people, have ended up in nursing homes because, Parkinson's does not know an age. I mean, people that are in their 30s, look at Michael J. Fox. What is he, 51? And he's got Parkinson's, the poor guy. But, he's a millionaire. He can afford it. We don't have the advantage of having millions. We've worked hard our whole lives for small savings. It can devastate you $12,000 a month in a nursing home.
And the good thing about, and some people, they just won't. Like my mother died in 2019, and she was 90. She didn't want to go to a nursing home. So I actually didn't have coverage for her back then. And I had to pay for two home care aides for her. And it was quite an expense for about 10 years.
Yes. Before we go, we're talking about, Corey, give your contact info so if any of our listeners want to touch base with you on these different policies, especially this nursing home thing, give out your contact while we get a minute.
Sure. The best, I'm kind of an old school dinosaur. The best way to get a hold of me is my phone is 312-310-7787. But if you would like to email me, I've kept my old law firm email just because so many people had it, and it would be meyerlawfirm@comcast.net. Those are the best two ways to get a hold of me. And I'll be happy to answer any questions that anyone may have.
How do you spell Meyer Law Firm?
MEYERLAWFIRM.
Thanks. In case I didn't want to spell your name wrong.
Thank you.
People don't understand. Thank you. But people don't understand is that when you think of insurance, no one wants to talk about it either. Okay, I noticed that. Okay. My own family was, well, what, are you in a hurry? You want to see me in that place? We're all, you'd think we were impervious to death, or we're going to live forever, which, But then you're right, about nursing homes. When my mother was in a nursing home, I saw people in their 30s and 40s, okay? And if you don't have the proper funds, guess what? You're going to have 3 people to your room, and it's going to get pretty crowded, and there's other factors there. So I'm telling you, that's why I'm calling up. You better have nursing home insurance these days. I would, because nobody wants to go or talk about these things. But then when it happens, guess what? It's going to be an experience that you'll never forget.
Definitely.
And another thing, too, when people, my wife is listening, too, here, too, when you think of nursing homes, guess what? That also includes rehab after surgery, okay? I'll say it to a nursing home. Well, then you got to go fight with your insurance, okay? And I think also there's nursing home, you have policies where you get paid too if you have to take care of the person, right?
Exactly. They cover home health aides, and then if you're a husband or wife, and your spouse is injured, you can get certified as a home care aide and collect benefits under the policy as well, which I've had several clients do.
You're 100% right. A lot of people don't talk about this, but we got to go to a quick commercial break. We're going to talk more about it in the second half. Stay with us. Stay on the lines. The phone lines are open. We got 3 more callers coming in. Thank you for calling, and be with us in about a minute and a half.
With your 1410 WRMN News Flash, I'm Sean Credan. Brought to you by Cintas. The City of Elgin seeking applicants for a diverse range of positions, both full-time and part-time. Opportunities include Assistant City Manager, Assistant Water Director, Marketing Specialist for Cultural Affairs and Special Events, and Social Worker. Find out more on the City of Elgin website. The 3rd annual Taco Bout It with a Cop community event is happening on Monday, May 5th from 5 to 7 p.m. at 75 Clock Tower Plaza. Residents are invited to meet with local police officers, ask questions, share concerns, and enjoy some tacos. Local organizations will also be on hand to provide resources for families. The 3rd annual Taco Bout It with a Cop community event is happening on Monday, May 5th from 5 to 7 p.m. at 75 Clock Tower Plaza. Residents are invited to meet with local police officers, ask questions, share concerns, and enjoy some tacos. Local organizations will also be on hand to provide resources for families. With your 1410 WRMN News Flash, I'm Sean Credan.
At At Straight Talk, we are all about no-brainers. Calling Grandma for her recipe, no-brainer. Streaming one more episode at 2 a.m., big no-brainer. Getting real unlimited data where you buy bananas, the ultimate no-brainer. Switch now and get a free Samsung Galaxy A16 5G or Moto G Power 5G 2024 with select plans. Straight Talk, real unlimited data. Available at Walmart and straighttalk.com. Offer valid through 5/19/25. Taxes and fees apply. Requires in-store single line activation on qualifying plan. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com/terms. Copyright 2025 Verizon.
When you switch to Progressive, you could save bundling your home and auto. Then you could put that money towards some of the surprisingly more expensive things in life.
Attention passengers, we've reached 10,000 feet and internet is now available for purchase.
I just paid hundreds for this flight, and you can't even throw in internet? I'll just take the free pretzels.
Sorry, but I do have snack boxes for sale.
I'm just gonna sleep.
In that case, we are selling pillows and blankets as well.
I'll just breathe. That's free, right?
Life costs a lot, so bundle and you could save with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
Real estate, be it residential or commercial, is often a person's most significant and priciest asset. Entering into a contract to buy or sell a real estate property is much more than just filling in the missing blanks on the printed contract. It's wise to hire a lawyer to prepare or review the offer to purchase real estate and take full advantage of his legal expertise. With Mark Sheblo, you will gain an attorney with over 26 years of legal practice and one who has helped thousands of clients to buy or sell their homes or investment property. We will safeguard your interests and might be able to even negotiate a better bargain than a client without proper legal counsel ever could. Oftentimes, a prospective buyer will submit an offer without first consulting an attorney, not realizing that once the offer is accepted by the seller, it becomes a binding contract. And the terms of that contract are not easy to be changed afterwards. Likewise, as a seller, you too will benefit from first consulting an attorney before signing. Feel free to call us for consultation at the law offices of Mark Sheblo at 773-775-5050. Our website is sheblolawoffice.com. Mark Sheblo can be reached 6 days a week at 773-775-5050.
This is Sarah Silver with your Fox Valley forecast. This afternoon, patchy drizzle before noon, then a slight chance of rain showers. Cloudy with a high near 58. Tonight, a chance of rain showers. Mostly cloudy with a low around 43. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy with a high near 54. Currently, it is 50 and overcast. I'm Sarah Silver on the Talk of the Town, WRMN.
Progressive knows there are some surprisingly expensive things in life, like frames. Because you found a classic 70s concert poster. But when you went to get it framed, you realized the frame will cost about 4 times the amount of the poster. Which is actually absurd because no one will be looking at the frame, and if they are, then you severely overestimated how cool this poster is. But then you remember by switching your home and auto to Progressive, you could save hundreds and put it towards a classic 70s concert poster in an absurdly overpriced frame. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
Show. We have a special guest today, and his name is Corey Meyer. He is an insurance agent and formerly a personal injury attorney. We were talking about different types of insurance policies, life insurance, term, whole, universal. And most recently, our last caller happened to pick up the topic of nursing home insurance. So, Corey, is there anything else? Didn't you tell me one of these policies covers some nursing home, one of these term policies, or no?
Yes, I did. That's a very good question, Bill. So, a lot of people can't afford nursing home coverage, but one of the companies that I decided to work for, American Amicable Life out of Texas, has a great term policy where one of the included riders, now a rider is something where you have additional coverage in addition to the death benefit. And most of the terms policies that we sell don't have any riders connected to them. Like I do sell a lot for Ethos, and you hear their ads all the time. And that's just they do have other policies, but the biggest sellers are straight term, where people talk about getting $1 million in coverage in 10 minutes. There's no riders on there. But American Amicable's term insurance does have a rider for both chronic illnesses and for nursing home care. And it allows you to take up to $5,000 per month from that policy to pay the expenses of a nursing home or to pay home health care. And again, if you don't ever pay it back, It just would come, as long as you keep paying your premiums, it would just come off the death benefit. So let's say you're in a nursing home, you have a $100,000 term policy, you're in a nursing home for 6 months, you take $30,000 out, which would be the maximum to pay some of the bills at the nursing home, your death benefit still would be $70,000, even if you don't pay back the money that you extract from the policy. So it's a very, very good term policy.
Does that also cover, not nursing homes, but I'll give you an example. My uncle had colon cancer. He went for surgery, but he ended up getting an infection. So they transferred him to Holy Family Hospital, which is no longer an emergency room hospital. It takes care of long-term patients. And he was there from October to January before he died. So he withered away, lost 70 pounds, but he was there for 4 months in that hospital. Would that cover something like that?
Sure. As long as it's an extended care facility, it definitely would cover it. And again, the main thing is whether the doctor will certify, the patient, the insured's doctor will certify that he is unable to perform at least 2 out of 6 activities of daily living, which obviously is the case if someone's confined to an extended care facility.
Yes. We don't think about that. And neither my uncle. He procrastinated on getting a colonoscopy over 2 years. By the time he got it, he had colon cancer. And he thought, they think a lot, the doctors will take care of it. Just like when they end up with a legal problem. Oh, the lawyer will take care of it. Well, lawyers and doctors are not miracle workers. They can only do so much with what they got. If you're that far along and other things happen, like an infection or complications, and you end up in a long-term facility, something like this would cover it, where Medicare and Medicaid may not, correct?
That is totally correct.
Yeah. So we got to think about these things because especially nowadays, I've always talked about this with car accidents. What happens if you're in there for 6 months? My aunt had a broken hip. They put her in a nursing home. I think she was there 9 weeks to recuperate. And she needed constant, every day she was going to physical therapy, 5 days a week, But you need to get rehabilitated. You need to get your body back in motion, or God forbid, like my uncle, he passed away. The children are left with the bills.
That's a very common situation, and that's why, even though nobody wants to talk about it, these are very important issues that we should plan for.
That's why I hate when people told me, oh, I didn't know that, or people end up in these situations. That's why this show that I've been doing for 10 years is like a 1 hour public service announcement. Am I right, Matthew?
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's my guy, Matthew. He's been listening to a year for me, but he knows I try to get as much information out there to the people before they get jammed up. And something about insurance, whether it's health insurance or long-term policies or disability insurance, it's something we don't think about, but when we need it, you may not have it. You know what I'm saying? Especially as people that get this car insurance liability only. They get hit by a guy with no insurance, or the guy takes off. They're stuck. People don't think about insurance till they need insurance. That's why. And while I got you, give out your contact info again, will you?
Sure. Phone number is 312-310-7787. And the email, where you can email me any questions you may have or concerns, it's Meyer Law Firm, MEYERLAWFIRM @Comcast.net.
That's Meyer Law Firm at Comcast.net. Send him an email if you got any questions. He'll take care of you. I'm glad he took an hour out of, or actually we've been here over 2 hours now because we had to get some key points. I wanted to let people know. My brother-in-law, and I mentioned this to you, got hurt on, I don't remember if he got hurt on the job, but he got hurt and he was laid up for about 9 months. He had actually a disability policy that covered him. They gave him almost his full wages for the 9 months. What's that all about?
Well, that's another form of insurance that's readily available. I do sell a lot of it. It's disability insurance. Now, a lot of people think they have short-term, long-term disability, which through their job, which I think, Bill, your brother may have had. But when you mention the 9 months, usually that's the limit on the long-term disability. But you can purchase disability insurance to cover you for extended periods out in addition to what your work would cover you, or if your work doesn't have it. Now, a good friend of mine was an oral surgeon at Cook County Hospital, several offices, and at age 58, he developed multiple myeloma, unable to work. And he's had two huge operations, but he was smart enough to get a disability policy, and he's continued to receive almost the same amount that he was making in private practice because he bought there's also inflation riders that you can buy, and he bought the inflation riders. So he's going to be at least getting that money up to age 65. So there's personal disability policies, which I would recommend to a lot of people, just to cover the unexpected. That's why we call it insurance. You know, you don't really want to you don't want to recover under it, but if you do, if you need it, you'll have it.
Yes, it's important. Right now, as I mentioned at the beginning of the program, my term life insurance is ending, and where I was paying $800 a year, $800 for a $400,000 policy, now they want $10,000 a year. So I've reached out to people like Corey, trying to find the best policy that'll fit my lifestyle and my needs. And I found out so much about these added policies. I didn't even know about this nursing care insurance. That was a new one to me. But like the caller said, people don't think about it. You know what I'm saying? People don't think about insurance, and it's a conversation they don't have, which is a conversation I wanted to put out today. If you have any questions, our phone lines are still open. What are they, Matthew?
847-931-1410.
Or they can text us.
505-926-1410.
How about our YouTubers?
That's the chat line. We've got Tori here saying, "Go, Dad, you're doing great."
Go, Dad.
That's my daughter.
Nice.
Oh, it is? Go, Dad. I was wondering. Hey, I may be old enough to be somebody's father, which I am, but I don't think they're listening to my show today.
I'm fortunate to have 3 great kids, so I really appreciate them listening.
That's great. We're blessed. And I've talked about, the hardest job in the world is good parenthood. And I've seen some horrible cases where the parents just let the kids go out of control, but that's another issue. But one more time on your email, meyerlawfirm@comcast.net, correct?
That's it, Bill. Thank you.
Okay. So while we're talking about that and talking about all these different insurance policies, we've talked about final expense insurance to cover your burial and funeral expenses. On that policy, let's say I take out the maximum and it's $50,000 and I pass away and my kids end up paying, they get the whatever the value of the policy is. Let's say they get the $50,000 and my funeral expenses, my burial, everything runs about, let's say $23,000. They don't have to return the other $27,000, correct?
That's a very good question. No, they don't. They just basically get the check for the death benefit from the insurance company, and they have to use it in whatever way everybody agrees upon.
So if I'm overinsured, it's to their benefit.
It's always good to be overinsured for the beneficiaries. Yes, it is.
Yes. Oh, better. And I say this for car insurance too. It's better to be overinsured than underinsured. And we'll get to car insurance on another episode, which I've discussed in the past. You were a personal injury attorney. Let's touch on that a little bit. And this gives you a lot of experience with these injuries and these nursing home cases prior to retiring after, I believe, 33 years in law practice?
That's correct.
Okay. Some of the personal injury accidents. Now, you also handled nursing home cases for improper care. Can you recall some of those types of cases?
Sure, I can recall a lot of them. But, most of them actually, at least I was considered one of the top attorneys for handling cases involving decubitus ulcers, which is a common condition, basically bed sores. And it's a common condition in people that, that are older, have thinner skin, don't have great nutrition, and have diabetes. They're at risk for developing these ulcers that don't heal, and they can be very, very painful and very, very debilitating. And if they're not receiving the proper nutrition, and Bill and I talked about a case off the air where the person sat around in their urine and their feces for many, many hours. That those are the right conditions where these develop. And I'm not really a political person, but if anybody did an audit of the Medicare and Medicaid files, you will see millions and billions of dollars for surgeries to treat these decubitus ulcers because they don't heal on their own. So, nursing homes that are understaffed, don't have the proper staffing, don't really make the periodic observations of the patients, they allow these bed sores to develop and worsen over time, and then they're very, very hard to heal. So it's a big, big area that, really, really is painful. If a person can't sit because they've got an ulcer on their butt, that's a horrible way to live the last few years of their life. So I handle a number of cases that involve that very issue, and juries are very sympathetic to that type of plaintiff. And it's a cause of concern to keep the nursing homes in check and to properly monitor these patients and treat them when they see the littlest redness or elevation in skin. But it does take time, and it does take care, and many nursing homes don't have enough nurses to really properly monitor someone's skin. So that's a big area of nursing home cases that I handled.
Plus, there's waits to get in nursing homes. There's actually a waiting time. I tried to get my aunt in last year. They're overbooked and they're understaffed. Am I correct?
You're 100% right. If a nursing home is good and has a good reputation, it's very, very hard. It's very, very hard to get in there.
Yes. So, there was a waiting list. She had to wait 6 months. And it was a battle just to get her in. And you're paying the full cost. When our bodies falter, we need as much help as we can get. And, hospitals, you go to the emergency room, they're good to treat you and send you home. But if you need that long-term facility, this is where you end up. Am I right?
You're 100% right. You got to do your research and make sure you get a facility that has the proper staffing, the proper, availability of other specialists if need be.
I agree. And, we don't think about this. And like the caller says, he was glad to hear a discussion on this. A lot of radio stations, I haven't heard any discussions on this type of insurance. That's why I was so glad Corey can be with us today. And the reason I ran into him, he came to our veterans meeting, which we meet every Tuesday morning. And he was talking about insurance policies. And you supplement some veterans policies, don't you?
Definitely. And, a lot of veterans, because of my connections with several veterans, my dad was actually a double draftee. So I do attend numerous veterans meetings, and they definitely double up. And although they have some insurance that's through their government or their job, they want to get additional insurance. And, hopefully their health is good enough where I can get them set with a good company and give them some peace of mind.
That's excellent. So if you got any questions after we go off the air, it's his email is meyerlawfirm@comcast.com, and Meyer spelled MEYER, lawfirm@comcast.net, not .com, .net.
You got it.
Sorry about that error. But as we get a caller?
Oh, we have a comment.
What's the comment?
Can someone else pay your premiums for you?
Oh.
And usually that can be the case, if you're a family member, even if not, you might have to pay the first or second payment, and then you can transfer the payee to someone else. So the answer to that question is yes.
It's just a matter where the bills go. They don't care,
Correct.
And you know what? I'm glad you wrote that, because for my aunt, trying to get her in a nursing home, I had her bills transferred to me, and I was covering her electric bill and gas bill until she could get situated. So that's a great question. You just got to make sure you transfer the address, because I think if you send them the check, they don't care who pays it. Am I right?
Basically, you do it, to take the policy out, you have to have some interest in the person, okay? But once you take the policy out, the owner of the policy can designate anybody to be a beneficiary and to be the payee.
You know what? I got some in the mail. I didn't read it too much, but I saw today from AARP, travel accident insurance. Have you heard of this?
I have I have heard of this.
Yeah, is it if I get in an accident or is it if I die in an accident? What is the travel accident insurance?
Yeah, basically, if something happens to you while you're on your vacation, theoretically it will cover you. But I've heard some horror stories where it's very, very hard to get a payout on these, depending on the company.
Yes, I got to read the policy, and here's the thing: you got to read all the fine print. But you see, I'm a guy that also likes to interact with the agent. That's why I don't like doing this stuff through the mail. I'm sure AARP is a reputable, insurance, but I like to deal with people up front, with Corey and with my State Farm agent for traffic insurance, car insurance. But I like to deal on a personal basis, and that's that's really a good thing to do, and that's why I bring Corey on to the program. We also discussed, term, whole, and universal. Now, what we didn't mention is there's different price ranges in this, right?
That's exactly correct.
So term, theoretically, would be a little cheaper than whole or universal?
That is correct.
So depending on your financial assets, that might be a way to go, but still you would have to check the pricing. And a lot of it is dependent on your age, correct?
Definitely.
And your health, because these insurance companies, they make you take a blood test, don't they?
A lot of them do. A lot of them now are just doing the Medical Bureau Index search. But Country Financial, which actually has the best rates that I carry, if in fact you qualify for the top health rate, they do make you do a blood and urine draw, and usually that's about it.
What's this Medical Bureau search?
Okay, the MBI, and I know, Bill, you being an ex-police officer, having helped out very, very many lawyers, this is an index that's kept by the insurance industry. So anytime you or I go to a doctor, it'll be recorded in the MBI. And theoretically now, these insurance companies can get your medical, the things that you've taken medically from this MBI. All medications should be on there that you've ever taken. So it's an index. And like I say, if you apply for insurance policy or you make a personal injury claim, it's likely the underwriter or the adjuster for the insurance company will consult that automatically as the first thing they do in researching you as to whether you need insurance or whether they should pay the claim.
It seems like they're circumventing the HIPAA Act for health information.
Well, there is a way around it. I'm not sure exactly how or why, but they get around it because there's no specific information as to your medical condition. But obviously somebody can infer from the medications you take what you have. But they can't say, they can't look you up, Bill, and say, oh, Bill's got A, B, C, and D. But
if they see I take metformin, they know it's for diabetes.
Exactly.
Yes. I see where they're coming from now. But you know what? I haven't heard about that Medical Bureau information for years. I forgot all about it. But it's still out there that insurance companies have access to, correct?
Sure, because, Ethos will write you $1 million policy without ever making you get an exam or take any blood or urine tests. But because they're confident in the information they can gather from these various indices.
Can you, as a private citizen, look up your record on MBI?
You'd have to be working with one of the organizations that are subscribed or they're allowed to use it. So as a private citizen, I don't believe you can have access to it unless you've got somebody who's very, very smart in the IT business. So
we have a caller, please.
Hi, welcome to the show.
Hi, yeah, I have a question. So life insurance policies. So, how does the insurance company make money? Because obviously, people take life insurance for $100,000, $200,000, and for sure you're going to die. So the insurance company is just not going to give everybody $100,000, $500,000, whatever it is. So how are they making money if you're only paying like $30 a month for the premium, but they're going to give you $200,000 if you die in a year?
Well, that's why that's why they don't write the policies or give you those good rates. If there's a risk involved, a lot of insurance companies won't write the policy. So they're very, very smart. Insurance companies, they don't want to, as you picked up, they don't want to take on any risk at all. So they need to know that you're going to live for 20 years. You have a good chance of living for 20 years, and then they won't have to pay back the $100,000. But they do invest the money, and there's regulations as to what they can invest in, how much in reserves they have to keep. So they're very smart, and they make money. And if you walk around, let's say Manhattan, all the buildings are still owned by insurance companies. So they got to be doing something right. That's all I can tell you.
They play the numbers. It's just like Las Vegas. The more people that gamble, even though you got to pay out, you got more money coming in than the payouts. So it's the volume. Like me, I've been paying for 20 years. I haven't died yet, and that policy is going to expire. So all that money, they kept it all those years, and they may have paid a few people off, but if they got 1 million clients and they only lose 500, they still ahead of the game.
Yeah, but dying is a sure thing, so everybody's going to die. So
yes, but it's dying is a matter of when and where. I may live to 85 or I may drop in 8 minutes. There's no rhyme or reason to it.
Yeah.
So if you take out a whole life policy when you're 20, you keep paying on it for 65 years, even if they do have to pay out, they've made so much interest on that that's a winning proposition for them. Now, if you die,
I got it.
If you die in 2 years, then they lose out. So that's why they really want to be sure on most policies that you're in good health.
Hey, thank you for calling. We got about a minute and a half left. Am I right, Matthew? So,
you guys have a good weekend.
Hey, thank you for calling in. I'm going to have Corey back to the show because there's still things I want to talk to him about, so we'll get him back. Follow him at Meyer Law Firm at Comcast.net. That's his email. If you want to call him, it's 312-310-7787. I'll repeat that again, 312-310-7787. And follow me on my Facebook at Pelarenos Police Project. I'll put on his info. I'm on Twitter at Police Project 1. Have a good weekend and stay safe, everybody. And we'll continue the conversation next Friday live here from Studio 14, WRMN. Thanks.
Thank you.
Twin Zeros at 4870 North Harlem Avenue in Harwood Heights, Illinois. Check out the full menu at twinzeros.com. Twin Zeros Restaurant in Harwood Heights not only serves traditional gyros, but also has chicken gyro sandwiches. Twin Zeros also serves a variety of sandwiches ranging from cheeseburgers and Vienna beef hot dogs that have recently been inducted into the Vienna Beef Hot Dog Hall of Fame, Italian beef, Italian sausage, and combo sandwiches. To ethnic favorites such as Slovaki and Grecian chicken. Slovaki is shish kebabs, specifically chicken or pork shish kebabs, grilled to perfection, served on a warm pita with tomatoes, onions, and our homemade tzatziki sauce. You can also enjoy barbecue ribs served every day. Twins is open 7 days a week and also delivers locally. Located at 4870 North Harlem Avenue in Harwood Heights. Check out the full menu at twinzeros.com. That's twinzeros.com.
Your hometown radio station since 1949. We are WRMN AM 1410, Elgin time, 1 o'clock.
WRMN News. Hello, I'm Dennis Green. Fox River Grove's historic Bettendorf Castle has canceled all upcoming events after the village revoked its special use permit. The decision follows a zoning dispute between the castle's owners and the village board, which voted to rescind the permit, effectively halting public gatherings at the venue. The castle, known for hosting weddings, tours, and community events, have become popular attraction in the area. The owners